Welcome back to the channel. It's been a very long time since I've made a video for this channel. All the videos before this were all for a class. So from now on, it's just whatever I want, whenever I want. So, a new series I got for you guys, Fix It. I'm gonna try to fix sports. Some of them are broken, some of them aren't. Some of them need little tweaks, some of them need massive tweaks. So the first sport, I should say, on the ballot is college football. Now, the old adage goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So why did they try? Money, that's the answer. Money is the reason that they tried to fix college football, quote unquote, tried. It's sad what the game has become, and I got 6 major, some are minor, but 6 in total fixes to fix college football. So let's get right into the first one. Fix number 1, MACtion. Now, before all of the Mac fans, including me, huge MACtion fan, I love Tuesday Night Football at Kelly Short Stadium. Before everybody hits the comments that says, don't get rid of MACtion, that would ruin football. Hold on. I'm not saying get rid of MACtion. I'm saying make MACtion what it used to be. Last year was the first ever year that Conference USA started playing midweek games. They started doing them in the beginning of the season, and that was the issue that I had because the MAC was known for being the only conference that plays in the middle of the week. The NFL plays on Mondays, and then you have Tuesday to Thursday where there's no football. The MAC filled that void. And then Conference USA came in last year. They started playing games in the middle of the week, and slow your roll, guys. That's MAC territory. That needs to go back to MAC territory. I'm not saying that the MAC needs to do it all season long. I like the way it was. There was a couple more games of the midweek before last year, and it needs to go back to that. Conference USA saw it as TV time available and jumped on starting earlier in the season, and I think that needs to be MAC only. Now, that's a nitpicky change. Not a lot of people are going to ever be affected by that change, but I am, and I want that to be fixed. Moving on to fix number 2, Big Noon Kickoff. It's a pretty hot topic. As you'll notice, the shirt I'm wearing, I don't know if you can fully see it, but it's Lee Corso putting on the smoky head for College Game Day. That is the main ticket attraction. You turn on College Game Day before you start watching football. And Fox saw that as an opportunity to make their own. The crew isn't the same as College Game Day. They never will be. And the atmosphere around it just kind of feels like a little brother activity. I'm going to go as far and say it feels like the kiddie rides at an amusement park. You don't go to Michigan's Adventure and go to the Big Dipper right away and then leave afterwards. You go to Thunderhawk because that's the ride you want to be on. That's the ride that has the most amusement. You turn on College Game Day because that's the show. That is the show that set the standard. Big Noon isn't reaching up to it. My biggest issue with Big Noon Kickoff, though, is the fact that the game started at noon. That's not an issue that I have. Michigan, Ohio State, that's a noon kickoff. That's pageantry, that's tradition. That's the way it should be. I'm talking about the fact that this past season, the Fighting Illini hosted the University of Southern California for a Big Noon kickoff game in Champaign, which kickoff time was 11 a.m. Central. That's normal. They play that all the time. The kickoff time for those kids from USC was 9 a.m. I'm going to be honest, since school got out, I haven't woken up at 9 a.m. How do you expect somebody to go out and play a full-on football game at 9 a.m.? And to the people that just turn on the game at 9 a.m., you got your coffee, you're waking up still. These guys have been warming up for hours. These guys probably had to get out of bed around 4 a.m. to come play this football game. That's absurd. There should never be a scenario where that has to happen. I think we forget oftentimes that these are student athletes. And I know they mostly got online classes, but that's a brutal schedule. Your whole time, like your whole metric of time is just screwed up because you're playing football at 9 a.m. And then you go home and you're just jet lagged all of Sunday just to get back on schedule and have a full week of normally timed games or practices during that next week. That's terrible. That's terrible for the game. That's terrible for the student athletes. So now we're going to move on to more of the big topics. These are the topics that have been discussed ever since they came about. The first one is NIL. I'm not going to sit here and talk about NIL for the next hour. I'm just going to give you my brief opinion on it and what needs to be fixed. So with that, fix number 3, NIL, no more donors. The donors can feed into the facilities, the locker rooms, the fields, the stadiums, whatever they want. But I don't think that donors should be paying players. And from another standpoint, Dave Portnoy paying all the money for Bryce Underwood to come play at Michigan, that's not the way it should be. That's not ever the way it should be. These are student athletes. They're getting tuition fully paid for, and they're getting an opportunity to make a little bit of extra cash on the side, and I'm all for that. I agree with that. They got College Football 26 now. You get paid to be in that. That's the way it should be. If the stadium puts your banner outside, you should get paid for that. If a restaurant calls you up, if Raising Cane's calls you up, you play for Alabama, and they're like, hey, we want you to do the sponsorship. We know that if people see you eating our chicken, they'll be more inclined to eat the chicken. You should get paid for that, 100%. Any endorsements that you can get on your own should be NIL money. Moving on to fix number 4, the Pac-12 issue. The Pac-12's back this year, but it's not the same. It's not going to be a power conference. You got a bunch of Mountain West teams. Some people might say it's a power conference. I don't. There's no way you could classify that as a power conference. 2 teams from the Pac-12 are coming back, Oregon State and Washington State. There needs to be 2 more, in my opinion. Those 2 being Stanford and Cal. Now, yes, I think in a perfect world, we go back to where Oregon goes back, Utah goes back. Oregon, UCLA, Washington, and USC, those are big markets. They're going to play in the Big Ten. Yeah, the Big Ten is predominantly the Midwest. It doesn't say the Midwest Conference, it says the Big Ten. Stanford and Cal, they play in the Atlantic Coastal Conference. Nothing about California screams Atlantic Coast. Actually, if you look at a map, they're next to the Pacific Coast. Why are they playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference? That's my issue. Those 2 teams don't have the money revenue to join the Big Ten or to join the SEC. So they join the smaller of the power conferences, the ACC. And they're just ruining it because these teams are flying across country as is because they're all on the Atlantic Coast. That's just wrong. And I think that should change. I think that is not the way we should go about this. And I think they should move back to the Pac-12. That is all I'm going to talk about for conference realignment. Obviously, there's more you could talk about here for conference realignment, but I think that's where I'll draw the line for now. Maybe in a future video, I'll talk more about where teams should go. But for now, I'm going to move on to fix number 5, bowl season. I've heard a lot of people say, let's just make a giant playoff bracket and eliminate bowls. I hate that idea. I absolutely hate that idea. I understand that it would give a school like Central Michigan a chance to be in the playoffs, but how well are they going to do against Georgia? Not very well, but pit them up against Western Kentucky. That's a good ball game. You take a school of equal size and a school of equal size, and you fly them down to Florida. They go have a good time. And everybody's happy. You win 6 games, you get to go somewhere tropical when it's wintertime. That sounds like a blast. But not every bowl game's like that. I know they just got rid of it, but the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit, I'd be pretty pissed if I won 6 games and was told I'm driving to Detroit the day after Christmas. I'm sorry, Detroit. I love everything about you except for the Lions. But I don't want to go to Detroit during bowl season when I got a buddy who plays, this is all hypothetical, I'm not a D1 football player, but if I got a buddy that plays for, say, Western Kentucky, and he hits me up, and he's in Myrtle Beach, and I'm sitting in Detroit, that's going to bum me out. And also, there's a standard that has been set by one particular company who started sponsoring an old bowl. I believe it was the Camping World Bowl. It is now the Pop-Tarts Bowl. They have live Pop-Tarts running around the field during in-between play. And I'm not saying I want Banana Ball where it's all chaotic, but They put a giant toaster on the field, and the winning team gets to pick a Pop-Tart, put them in the toaster, and they get to eat them. That's amazing. That's fan experience. That's player engagement. And listen, as much as it sucks to be a high caliber team, like say Notre Dame, you don't make the college football playoffs, you get an invite to the Pop-Tart Bowl, might be an insult. Join a conference is what I'd say to them, but nonetheless, this big team didn't make the playoffs. They're crushed that their season didn't end in glory, hoisting up the national championship trophy, but they get to go play one more football game with all their teammates. And they get to hang out in Orlando, Florida for a week. They go to Disney World and then eat a giant Pop-Tart if they win. So there's an initiative to win. I want to eat a giant Pop-Tart. I want to win the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And yeah, they get money and stuff like that if they win. The school gets money if they win a bowl game. But there's a standard that is set with the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You got to have antics, I'd say. And the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl stepped it up. They had a giant can of beans out there. The Tony the Tiger Bowl, they dump cereal on the guy. The Cheez-Its Bowl, there's a giant cheese block. The standard has been set by these bowl these bowl games, and I think it needs to be matched across all levels. So that being said, the final fix of the episode, the hot topic. The final version of the postseason fixes. Fix number 6, the playoffs. Listen, when they expanded to 12-team playoff, I was a little upset. I thought 4 was a good number. You get the 4 most deserving teams, no tie-ins, none of that. The 4 best teams in college football are going to play a little bracket, and whoever comes out on top, clearly the best team. So I'm not fully against the 12-team playoff, but I don't think 12's enough. I think that the tie-ins stick around. The Power 4 conference winners all get an automatic qualifying bid, just like college basketball. But then the group of 6, whoever's the best group of 6 team gets an automatic bid. And with 16 teams, you might see more than just one. And I think 16's a round number because with the 12-team playoff, only one team that had a bye won a game. Let alone that one game, they ended up winning 3. It was the Indiana Hoosiers, the national champions last year. Other than them, nobody else that had a bye won a game. They didn't play for a month. They came off rusty. That's how it appeared. Think back to the first year they had 12 teams. Ohio State blew the doors off of the Oregon Ducks. The 1 seed. The Oregon Ducks were the 1 seed. They got murdered in the Rose Bowl. Don't give them a bye. Let's play the first round before Christmas just like it is right now. Everybody plays, and it's seeded just like March Madness, 1 through 16. You go out there, you play that game. The winners of that go to the New Year's Six Bowls. Then that's only a week. You got a week like normal to prep, just like the teams that don't have the bye. It's the same amount of time frame. Everybody's just clicking. I think that's the perfect way to do it. And I think a playoff is the way to do it, but it is still the FBS side of Division I, the Football Bowl Series. There needs to be bowl games still. And having those New Year's Six still has a bowl game in tied with it. So, with all of that being said, that sounded like a lot to fix college football. This next thing that I'm about to say needs to be remembered. Let me paint you a picture. You set an alarm on a Saturday morning after a long week of work for 9 a.m. You wake up to that alarm, there's Reese Davis saying good morning to you. You watch 3 hours of College Game Day, and then you put on the comfiest pants you got. You put the pizza rolls in the oven, and then you sit on that couch for 3 to 4 football games. And you just take everything in. If you're like me, you got 4 games on at once. And it's beautiful. And no matter who's in what conference, who's getting paid what, who's going to what bowl game, it'll always be college football. So, yeah, I got 6 fixes to make the game perfect, but at its core, it's pretty damn close to perfect. This is one of the greatest sports in the world, played by the most passionate people in the world. So yeah, college football could be better. If capitalism never happened, might be perfect, but it'll always be college football. And we need to just Sometimes I think just relax and enjoy the fact that it is always college football. So all that being said, if you have another sport or a league that you want me to try to fix, leave a comment down below. If you disagreed with any of my fixes and have a different fix, leave a comment down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you want to see more of these, and send it to a friend that would also like it or hate it. Either way, you're watching, so I'm fine with that. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.